just to go over a quick detail, this little band here, I pushed it all the way up at this end, and then here I pushed it all the way down on this end. The main reason to facilitate grip and sliding movement of hands. Here, if that band was here or down here, it gets in the way. It collects up here and here, so I pushed it all the way to the top, and I pushed the bottom all the way to the bottom, because from basically here to down here is where your hands travel when you're using this weapon. Here's a major thing to note about your weapon, your staff, your monopod, is that every object has a center of gravity. So as you can see here, I'm balancing this on the edge of my hand here, not perfectly, but just to show, just to make the quick point. So obviously one end is longer than the other. I'm sorry, one end is heavier than the other, and this will make the real middle of the weapon, as far as balance is concerned, not exactly in the middle, but off a little bit. Anyway, the whole point is just that if you understand the balance point of your weapon, the middle point of it, it helps you move it. It helps you control it using very, very little strength. I'll show you how that's done in a moment. But just so you see here, try to find the balance point. Okay, so we found the balance point of the monopod. I'm just going to show some principles of holding it. Let's say I'm only holding it with one hand. I'm always going to try to hold it with two hands, but just to prove some points and some principles right now, I'm just going to hold it with one hand. Alright, so I have my grip, same grip I showed before. Now, my hand is, if it was in the middle, it would be right here over the bolts, but that's uncomfortable. So I'm cheating a little bit. I'm putting my hand up here, and it's closer towards the heavier part, so that works. So right now, if I was just going to hold this with one hand, this is where I would hold it. This is how my grip would look. My wrist would be straight with my forearm, not bent either up or down, not even forward or back, but square like this. Okay, now here's a quick point which means everything. Okay, you notice how my arm is angled this way towards the middle, the center of my body, right? Not pointing out like this, not out like this. Here's a major detail. My elbow is actually touching my side. My elbow is touching the side, and where the monopod is center, is right in the middle of my body. The monopod is right in the middle of my body. And my elbow is locked to my side. See, I'm making like a triangle here. See the angle? Alright, Eric, so real quick, why is it important for the elbow to be touching the side of the body? So first off, if I'm punching and I make a fist, and if I have my fist here at my hip here, if I have my fist at my hip, I can punch with strength from my hip. My fist starting at my hip, if it's over like this, or like that, or even like this, as long as my fist is touching my hip and my elbow is not flared out, it's in, touching my body, close to my side. See, in the sense the elbow is still very close to the body. My elbow's actually floating behind my back right now. But anyway, my fist is at my hip. So I can punch from the hip. I can punch from having my elbow at my hip and my fist out here pointed at the face of my opponent. I can punch this way. That's just straight. This is with rotation. So whether my fist is at my hip or my elbow is at my hip, in both cases I can just punch directly out, straight forward, with a lot of strength. And the reason why I can punch with strength from both these positions is because my elbow is close to my body and not out. What's the difference? Well, when my arm and my elbow is close to my body like this, my pectoral muscle is engaged. My chest muscle is engaged. If I raise my arm out like this, or back, or out like this, in all these cases, with my elbow out in the air, my pectoral muscle is disengaged. It's weak. But as long as I have my arm in like this, my pectoral muscle is flexed and it's ready to go. It's like almost like loaded potential energy almost in that muscle. But the muscle is tight, it's taut, and I can move forward with one motion. So continuing on with talks, lessons about the monopod. As you can see right here, I have it extended all the way out. So I talked a little bit last time about having the monopod contracted all the way. I didn't really get into how to use it, but I covered some basics about its form and function when it's contracted, and so I'll go over the same thing, like the form and function of the monopod, how to use it in a self-defense situation when it's open, extended all the way. Just like when we were holding it, we want to find out which is the heavy end and which is the light end. So it turns out that the base, with the rubber pad on the bottom, that's much lighter than the top, which here again has the lanyard and the bolt for attachments. So this end here with this grip is definitely heavier than the opposite side. So we can think of the default way of holding it would be, out this way. This end would be pointing towards the face of the opponent, and then the back end would be pointing towards the ground. And if I compare it to one of the walking sticks that I have over here, I'll just show, I'll put it next to it. So you see, you pretty much, unless it's like a bow that's manufactured, that someone carves down. Anytime you have especially a stick you find in the woods, you're going to have a light end, and you're going to have a heavy end. In this case, like the stick I have here is the lowest part of a tree aside from the roots. Anyway, so you can see how skinny end, fat heavy end. Other thing you notice about length, whenever you're using something like a bow or a staff or a walking stick, you want it to be just a bit shorter than you. It's not like other kinds of more exotic weapons that are purposefully longer than you are, like for knocking people off horses. But if you're just using a stick, a staff, a bow, or some kind of similar length weapon for self-defense, it's much more effective and practical to have it just a little bit shorter than you, than longer than you, taller than you. It makes all the difference in the world, especially when it comes to like banging it on the ground. If it's just a little bit shorter than you, you're not going to have a problem accidentally hitting the ground with it if you're swinging it around. But if it's a little bit longer than you are, a little bit, or if the weapon is a little bit longer than you are tall, then you're going to be scraping it, smacking it into the ground repeatedly. So what's the rule of thumb for adults is you want your stick, your staff, to be 2 inches shorter than you. Now with a walking stick, it starts off 2 inches shorter than you, and then it becomes 3 inches, 4 inches shorter than you as it wears down, and you got to pass it off. You know, 2 inches shorter than you is great, is optimal. This is considerably shorter than 2 inches, but it's fine because you know, it's what you're carrying and you got to use it. And having it extended, you know, is better than you know, not having it extended, honestly. So if you have the time to extend it, fine. If it's already extended and you can use it to defend yourself, great. If it's contracted, do you take the extra time to extend it to defend yourself? If you have that option, if you have that luxury, that time, for sure. But if not, just make do with what you have in the moment, and then look for ways to improve later on.